Hey guys, with the recent release of the new Death Guard Codex, I wanted to revisit some of my old videos. Today, starting with what I would bring in a 1,000-point army. And this isn't as straightforward as it used to be because we now have 7 detachments to choose from, and a lot of them are very skewed in particular ways. So Mortarian's Hammer, for example, really favors vehicles. You've got Tallyman Summoners, which is the demons one. There's the Poxwalker detachment, which would probably be pretty crazy at 1,000 points. But I'm going for more of a balanced list here. And so we're going with Virulent Vectorium, which means that all of our units will be able to benefit from the stratagems in that detachment. Another thing I've taken into consideration is if you're a new player, you may have picked up the Combat Patrol set, and the Combat Patrol is so good. It comes with some really key Death Guard units like the Lord of Virulence, Deathshroud Terminators, Plague Marines, and Rhino. These are all such amazing units, and because they're all such stable units, I've included all of them in this list here today. So if you are starting out on your Death Guard journey, this might be a good place to kind of get some ideas as to, you know, where to expand from that Combat Patrol set. So let's start off with, I'll give you a bit of an overview of what I've got here in front of me, and then we'll talk a little bit about the roles of each of these units and how I would use them in a game. One thing to note is that in a couple of weeks' time, we are getting brand new mission decks and deployments and who knows what else. I know there've been a couple of leaks online. I haven't seen any of them yet, but one thing that has been confirmed is that there are going to be dedicated missions and deployments, I believe, for 1,000 point games, which is going to be so good because it's always been a little bit awkward in the past playing 1,000 point games on like a 2,000 point deployment. You feel so like thinly stretched out, and you really have to make some key decisions around doing secondaries or killing units or scoring primary sometimes. So it's quite a hard juggle, and a lot of the time games are over pretty quickly because things die pretty fast. So it'll be interesting to see what these new missions are like for 1,000 points. But yeah, jumping into the list. So like I said, I've taken most of the units from the Combat Patrol set. We've got a Lord of Virulence who is such a good leader at the moment. And the reason for that is his ability changed. At the start of the shooting phase, he can now select a unit within 30 inches, and every other unit in the Death Guard army that targets that unit in shooting, that was a bit of a mouthful, gets to re-roll hit rolls of 1, and if they're using a blast weapon, they get to re-roll all of their hit rolls. And I have put a lot of shooting in this list, so there is so much that can benefit from Lord of Virulence's ability. Now, if you have him attached to a unit, so with these 3 Deathshroud Terminators here, for example, he gives the unit re-roll wound rolls on their flamers as well, which is very handy. So a very solid unit, only 90 points at the moment, so he's so good. I've already kind of touched on them, Deathshroud Terminators. These are our elite soldiers which can go toe-to-toe with almost anything in the game. You can bring them in 3-man squads and 6-man squads. I would say 6-man squad is a bit overkill for a 1,000 point game, but a 3-man squad should be able to deal with most things unless your opponent's going like absolutely crazy and bringing like a 300 or 400 point model or unit. They might have a little bit of trouble with that, but otherwise these guys are a very solid unit and you just cannot go wrong with them. They're currently 140 points for 3 of them. Now the Combat Patrol also comes with a Tallyman, and I love the Tallyman. I bring one of these in every single game I play. At the start of your command phase, you get to roll 2d6, and if on a 7 and higher, you get 1 extra CP, and that is so useful. We have so many great stratagems, and just this is the only way really that we can get extra CP. Now we do also have a Demon Prince, which gives us -1 CP. He's got like an aura thing. But the Demon Prince is 195 points. I have left him out of this list. He is an extremely good unit, but I think he is better suited for bigger point games. You can also attach the Tallyman to a squad of Plague Marines, and then it gives them ignores modifiers on their hit roll. So if they're attacking something with stealth, for example, they wouldn't have the -1 to hit. I personally like to have the Tallyman on his own, just more to screen out the backlines, just so I don't have to worry about enemies like popping in from reserves or deep strike or anything like that. Next to him I have a Malignant Plaguecaster, and these guys are so solid. They are extremely powerful. They give the unit they are leading sustained hits if your target is afflicted, and this is for shooting and for the fight phase. So increases the damage potential for Plague Marines by quite a lot, because you'll have lethal and sustained on most of your weapons. He also has an ability that I always completely forget to use, and basically once you've hit something with his magic attack, that unit that you've hit has -2 to move and charge, I believe. Like I say, I always forget about it. It's very handy, but I should keep it in mind more often. Behind these two leaders, I've got a squad of 5 Plague Marines, and Plague Marines are very solid. They've got such a cool ability now where once they've shot at something, they can choose one of the targets that they shot at, then that target becomes afflicted until the start of your next turn. So very good at setting up, applying that contagion to units and setting up some of your other units. I've kitted them out with, so the leader's got a Plague Fist and Plasma Gun. I've got an extra Plasma Gun, 1 Blight Launcher, which is a blast weapon now, 1 Plague Spewer, and 1 heavy weapon. So this is quite a small squad, and it's a bit of an all-rounder squad. The reason why I've chosen this weapon loadout is, with the Lord of Virulence as a warlord, I want to bring lots of, as much shooting as I can really. The Blight Launcher is a no-brainer, absolute no-brainer. Plasma guns are also very solid, and I like to bring one on the champion and an extra one just in case I roll a hazardous and I have to kill a unit. I would much rather take it on my plasma gun unit than on my champion, who also has the heavy Plague Fist, which is very good in melee combat. The Plague Spear is great for taking out infantry. It's got anti-infantry too, and it's also teams up really well with the Malignant Plaguecaster, because these two weapons, they are auto hits, so they are so good at overwatching. Now Rhinos are crucial in your list when you're bringing Plague Marines, because although Plague Marines have a lot of damage output, they are very squishy and they will die to almost anything that looks at them. Having them inside Rhino means that you can take them up closer up to the mid-board, drop them out, and behind a wall on objective. There's a lot of different things you can do there. The cool thing is, now that Rhinos have a new ability where if your unit jumps out and your Rhino shoots that unit and then your Plague Marines shoot that unit, your Plague Marines get to re-roll the wound roll. So a lot of synergy here, and it's a very, very strong combo. So we've covered about half the list now, and we've only really talked about the Combat Patrol plus a Plaguecaster, which I would definitely recommend picking up if you don't have one already. Now we'll talk about some of these other units that I've chosen and kind of explain why I've chosen them. So first off, I like to have a lot of utility in my list, and I like to have units that can score points where I don't have to feel bad about them scoring points instead of shooting or attacking or charging, sorry. And what I mean by that is my Deathshroud Terminators here, I want them jumping down, deep striking and going after something and killing that. I do not want them doing secondaries. And my Plague Marines as well, although I don't mind doing secondaries with them because they have such a good overwatch threat, I know that if I do an action with them in my opponent's movement phase, I could potentially just overwatch then. So I'm not too worried about them doing actions, but I would rather that they weren't doing actions. With that in mind, I have brought a unit of Chaos Spawn. And apologies, some of my models here aren't even painted. I need to get onto that. Chaos Spawn is so good at the moment. These guys are 80 points for 2 of them. They are toughness 7, same as the Deathshroud Terminators. They've got 4 wounds each. They've got a cool ability where they get to bounce back mortals on a 4-up on allocated hits. It's just like a bunch of mortal wounds that they can just bounce off if they make all their saves and feel no pains. They have a feel no pain 5-up, I should mention that. And they have movement 8, so they're really good at just jumping around the board and doing actions and securing objectives early. They also have Scout 6, so they have so much going for them, and they are only 80 points. I would highly recommend at least bringing 1 unit of Chaos Spawn in a 1,000-point list. They just provide so much value, and they don't have any shooting, and most of the time you won't throw them into combat because they are hitting on 4s. Although they have D6 plus 2 attacks each, they are so unreliable in combat. They're just great at tying things up and doing actions. So Chaos Spawn, absolutely amazing. I also have a unit of Poxwalkers here, 2, 4, 6, 8. I've actually only got 9. They come in units of 10, so I'd recommend bringing 10 of them. Poxwalkers have Infiltrate, and Infiltrate is such a handy ability to have, especially if your opponents have Scout, because if your opponent has Scout as well, they cannot end a scout move within 9 inches of any of your units. So you could put your Poxwalkers in a straight line across the board, 9 inches away from their deployment, and deny any of their scout moves. And for a 60-point unit, it is really powerful denying some of those moves. Now, depending on what my opponent has in his list, if he doesn't have any scout units, sometimes I will consider putting these guys in my back line and just screening out the whole back corner, because they are also really good at doing that. They've got quite a big footprint if you space them out. They are also fairly resilient. They are toughness 4. They've also got a 5-up, feel no pain. So they can be a bit tricky to take down. And they've got this weird thing as well, where if they kill infantry units, they bring back their own infantry. They bring back models in their unit, which you probably won't see very often unless you're going into very light infantry. Also, another unit that is very good at doing secondaries, because especially if you've got them in no man's land right at the start of the game. So yeah, these are 2 units for me that provide a lot of utility and are really cheap. So I would, 100% recommend having at least 1 unit of Poxwalkers and 1 unit of Chaos Spawn. Now after that, I've got 3 vehicles, 2 demon engines and 1 vehicle. So let's talk about the demon engines first. One of our best units at the moment is a Bloat drone with a heavy blight launcher. I haven't attached this on because this is still stuck on by blue tack, and it's easy to stick onto the base with the lawnmower. But definitely go for the blight launcher option. It is so strong. It's such a solid pick, and it aligns very well with the Lord of Virulence's ability because it's a blast weapon. It's strength 10. It's D6 plus 2 attacks, AP 2, flat 3 damage. This kills almost anything, because if you're going into like a tank or something, most tanks are toughness 10. So if you shoot them with your Plague Marines first, it'll become afflicted. You'll bring it down to toughness 9. If you've got the -1 save contagion as well, you now have an AP -3 Bloat drone, D6 plus 2 attacks, flat 3 damage shooting into it. You know, most vehicles have a 3-up save, so it'll be saving on 6s unless it's got cover, so 5s. And you only need like 4 of them to go through to kill one of these. And if the Plague Marines are shot at it, they've probably done a little bit of damage already, so you probably only need 2 or 3 shots. And it also has lethal hits on its attacks as well, so it is an absolutely crazy unit at the moment. It is so good. It's only 100 points. It's got 10 movement as well, which is really fast for a Death Guard. I don't mind doing secondaries with this as well if there aren't any good targets to shoot at, but ideally you want this shooting every single turn, and you want to make sure whatever it's shooting at, the Lord of Virulence has looked at to make sure you get those rerolls to your hits. My second demon engine is a Myphitic Blight-Hauler, and these guys, they've got a similar profile to the Bloat drones. They're toughness 9, they've got a 3-up, 5-up, 10 wounds, and 10-inch movement. These guys are really good at hunting down light vehicles. They get +1 to hit and +1 to wound against vehicles and monsters. And they're only 90 points, so they're pretty good at running around, doing secondaries, taking out, you know, things like Rhinos, because they've got melters, they've got lethal hits on their melters, they've got missiles which can shoot with the crack or the frag, so the blast one or the one-shot one. They're also not too bad in melee. I wouldn't mind charging these guys into light infantry. You wouldn't want to put them into anything like Deathshroud Terminators or something equivalent to that. They would get absolutely destroyed. But very good unit for just doing a bit of skirmishing, running around, scoring points, securing objectives, and taking out light vehicles. They do a lot for 90 points. And then the last vehicle I have is a Predator Destructor, which has an autocannon. This one is kitted out with las cannons, and I think going with las cannons is probably the best thing to do here, because Death Guards in general are pretty good at taking out infantry, so you don't really need the heavy combi guns or whatever they're called. And having 2 las cannons just means that if your opponent is bringing something with a bit higher toughness, toughness 11 or toughness 12, you've got an answer for that as well. The autocannon, similar to the Bloat drones, is a flat 3 damage. It's only strength 9, so you can go into tanks and things. You want to make sure you get them into contagion range first to bring them down to that toughness 9, so at least you're wounding on 4s. But the ideal target for these guys is elite infantry. You want to be going into your Terminators or anything with 3 wounds, because every shot that goes through just straight up kills them. This has the longest range in our army as well. So the autocannon and the las cannons, they're both 48 inches. This also has the Havoc missiles as well, which are 48 inches as well. So this is the unit that you have in your backline, helping the Tallyman and the Poxwalkers kind of like screen out your backlines and lining up those long shots to support your army. The Predator Destructor also has an ability where after it shoots a unit that isn't a monster or vehicle, anything else that shoots that target gets an extra AP. So there are so many combos that you can do, shooting combos in particular, with this 1,000 points that we've put here. And let me just make a note, this actually comes to 985 points in total. I was trying my best to get it to 1,000 points bang on, but with it being 985 points, at least when the next balanced data slate comes out, and if points go up and down for some of these units, there's still a little bit of room to potentially still play this list. Whereas if we went bang on 1,000 points and the bloat drones went up 10 points, then we would have to kind of change a lot of things. There is one enhancement that you can bring in Virulent Vectorium for 10 points. I think it gives the unit crits on 5s or something like that. So you could easily give that to Lord of Virulence, give it if he's going to be with the Deathshroud Terminators, or your Plague Caster if he's going to be with the Plague, I mean he's definitely going to be with the Plague Marines. Once a new mission deck comes out, I will make sure to do a battle report with this list so you guys can see firsthand, you know, how it plays out. I'll try my best to have my Bloat Drone and my Chaos Swarm painted by then too, so maybe I'll start painting those guys first. But hey, if you've made it this far into the video, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all enjoying the new Death Guard Codex as much as I am. I can't wait to get the new mission deck soon as well and play our new Death Guard in a new version of Warhammer 40k. So until next time guys, I will see you around.